Michele Bachmann went on televangelist Jim Bakker's show to flirt with a Senate run, and she was her usual, I'll be nice and say, ridiculous self.
Now in Minnesota, Al Franken, as you know, has resigned. I'm from Minnesota. I've had people contact me and urge me to run for that Senate seat. And the only reason I would run is for the ability to take these principles into the United States Senate and to be able to advocate for these principles. The question is should it be me? Should it be now? But there's also a cost. There's a price you pay.
Sure.
And the price is bigger than ever because the swamp is so toxic. It has never been. And my husband and I aren't money people.
Right.
That's the thing. We're not. We're normal. We're just normal people. We're not money people. If you're a billionaire, you can maybe defend yourself.
Yeah.
We're not money people. And so, you can have frivolous lawsuits filed against you all the time. And then what do? I mean, it is really tough. If you're going against the tide in D.C., if you're trying to stand for biblical principles in D.C., and you stick your head up out of the hole, the blades come whirring and they try to chop you off. This is not an easy place to be.
No.
So, I mean, we're trying to be wise. Should we do this? Shouldn't we do this? What? I mean, I trust in a big God.
Yeah.
And so he got us over all those finish lines, but I also believed I was supposed to run for president. Not that I didn't even run because I thought I was going to win. I ran to put the whole issue of Obamacare front and center before the American people. I feel like I was wildly successful because by the time I left the presidential race, all 7 men on the stage were forced to take my position of repeal. Not one of them had taken that position. And the Republican Party platform had to change to reflect my position. And the American people took the position that Obamacare is bad. And so that moved the debate. I think I was wildly successful. I didn't win, but moved the debate. So I didn't shed a tear when I left the contest because I felt like, I fulfilled the calling that God gave me. So the question is, am I being called to do this now? I don't know.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, where do we begin with this one? So, she's arguing, well, God wanted me to run for office. When she did run, it was in 2012. I think, it was 2012. Well, she said back then, in 2011, she argued, no, God wants me to run. But she didn't add the caveat back then. She said, God wants me to run, presumably because God wanted you to win. But no, now she's saying, well, God wanted me to run, but he didn't want me to run to win. He wanted me to run to ruin Obamacare. He wanted me to change the dialogue and make the GOP super anti-Obamacare, and then, that'll change the debate in the country, and then you've served your purpose, Michele. Michele, this is God talking. You've done a good job taking away health care from millions of people. That's not even true, by the way. The thing about, the Republicans, they were soft on Obamacare until I showed up. There were over 60 votes to repeal Obamacare in Congress. What do you mean they were, by no stretch of the imagination were they soft on it? I'm pretty sure everybody on stage before Michelle Obama, hilarious Freudian slip. Michelle Obama is a much better person than Michele Bachmann, let's be clear. Before Michele Bachmann made that argument, I'm pretty sure they were all against it anyway. She's just taking credit for something that is she shouldn't be taking credit for. But also just the thought that's what God wants. Imagine God is sitting up there in heaven and is like, what should be my new project? I could eliminate cancer in children. I could stop the pain and the hurt of natural disasters and droughts. I could make it so that everybody's out of extreme poverty. But no, I think what I want to do is have about 30 million people or so lose their health care in the United States. What? What? Now, I know that in her mind she thinks, but Obamacare is bad and it's hurting people. But it objectively is not hurting people. I don't think it went far enough. We should have done Medicare for all. at the very least a public option. But it is true that Obamacare, even though it's not the reform I support, it is true that it, gave healthcare to millions of people. So it's just a weird, that's what you think God is thinking. I can't wait to take healthcare away from people. Instead of fucking curing diseases, he's like, yeah, let's go destroy Obamacare. It's just such a ridiculous, basically, in Michele Bachmann's mind, whatever my opinions already are, that's what God wants me to do. God wants me to do this stuff I already wanted to do, which is do standard right-wing bullshit. And then the final point is biblical principles in D.C. is what she said she's all about. Okay, so then you just admitted your whole thing is I like being unconstitutional. I like fighting for the opposite of what this country was founded on. We're not a theocracy. We're the first secular nation ever. So the whole idea was there's a separation of church and state. There's no establishment of religion in the U.S. We have freedom of religion. So you can be whatever you want to be. You don't have the government force any particular religious viewpoint on you. You choose what you are. But she's saying she's fighting for biblical values in Washington. That's terrible. That's like saying I'm fighting to make this the Christian version of Saudi Arabia. So what's so annoying about these people is as they wrap themselves in the flag and the Constitution, they actually espouse the most un-American principles. And they're in favor of theocracy. So, Michele, don't run for that seat. Please don't run for that seat. But if she does run for that seat, I hope she gets her ass handed to her.